Welcome to Module 2, Learning to Learn, for the online version of EPY 150, Strategies for Academic Success. I kind of love this module, so I hope you learn to love it too. Before we jump into the real meat of this module, I kind of wanted to just pose a question. What are you facing right now? I know some of you have said you're wondering why this has to be so difficult. So do you feel like you're just sort of on this crazy bus train and things are going and going and going and you haven't been able to catch up? Just notice that's just an idea you have. You could pause, take a breath. Here's one of my favorite quotes. You either change things or you don't. Excuses rob you of power and induce apathy. What do you think about this quote? Agnes Whistling Elk seems to be saying, you're either doing it or you're not. So all of the talk about why you can't do it is just taking your energy. So consider that. Are you using energy spinning your wheels when you could just jump in and do? Dave Ellis's idea about ideas are tools in chapter 1 is really one of these great ideas. You know, people limit themselves in their openness to ideas, but not to tools. So think about this. Consider the strategies in this course as tools, and you'll be more likely to try them. So every time something gets thrown at you, just think of it as a tool. Now, my example is, I bet all of you have used a hammer before. You don't have to like a hammer to use it. Well, the ideas in this book are the same way. If they work for you, use them. If they don't, put them on the shelf. Maybe you'll try them again later. You don't have to throw them out, but you have to just kind of keep trying ideas, even if at first it might seem silly or irritating to you. So try it out. The big focus in this learning module is really all about self-assessments. So what are they? They're really ways that we evaluate and assess our strengths and weaknesses, and they can be very useful to you in your learning. You're starting out at one place, and believe it or not, you could end up in a different place. So don't jump to conclusions. Don't worry, it's not a huge labeling process. Just sit back and take a look in the mirror. Following directions is a skill you can develop, and it will help you in getting through homework 2 and understanding these 3 self-assessments that I'm asking you to do. So be patient with yourself. The first self-assessment, which is really easy and fun, is the discovery wheel, which is in chapter 1 of Becoming a Master Student. And it really asks the questions, what kind of student are you? And what kind of student you want to be. We're doing this at the beginning of the semester, and we're going to do it at the end to see how much we've improved. So students find this very helpful. So go now to pages 36 to 40 and follow the instructions. I would even suggest just doing it right now and pausing this video right at this moment so that you can go ahead and complete the discovery wheel. Just do it. I hope you paused and now you're coming back. So the second self-assessment, which is similar to the discovery wheel, but it's a little bit more scientific, is called the LASSI. It's a Learning and Study Strategies Inventory. And people all over the country, from Yale to military academies to community colleges, take this. So I want you to consider maybe, just maybe, this little test could be useful to you. That's all I want you to think about for right now. So go to the instructions. So I have a little screen capture video for you here where I'm scrolling through the directions for taking the online LASSI. You can print this out for yourself. You can see I'm scrolling up and down. Then I'm going to click on the next button. And this is a link to the LASSI website where you'll go in to take the LASSI. And notice how I'm demonstrating for you what you type in. You type in, and everybody types in the same thing, 76206 for the school number, AUWV for the username, and then the password is KYR8G. Now I'm just hovering over the submit button, but I'm not actually going to press it because it costs money every time someone clicks submit. So please only do this once. I got some grant money from the school so no one would have to pay for it. Notice when you go in, what you're going to do is basically answer questions and say, is this typical of me, not very typical of me, somewhat typical of me. So go ahead, take this. It could be really fun. You should have printed out your scores, and I just want to caution you not to get overly bummed out or overly excited about any of these scores. This is really important. Remember we talked about in Learning Module 1 about being able to separate and not rush to judgments? Notice the thoughts that you have when you look at your scores and be cautious about rushing to pronouncements about yourself that you're either really good or really bad. Rather, take a look at the scores and ask yourself honestly, what do you really want to change? Maybe there's something you don't want to change, so don't worry about trying to fix that and just pick one thing. You're more likely to change one thing than 3 or 5 or 10 things. And we're really going to be looking both at this and the discovery wheel at the beginning, at the end of the semester. So this is one of the great experiments that we're running this semester. So here you have a list of all the 10 Lassie scales, which you can see printed out after you've taken it. And the 10 Lassie scales include everything from anxiety to test taking. Now, anxiety is the one scale that if you get a high score, it doesn't mean you have a lot of anxiety. It actually means you have very little anxiety. Attitude is about how interested you are in subjects that you're not here to study. Concentration is about how well you can concentrate on academic tasks. Information processing is all about how well you acquire knowledge. Motivation is about setting goals. Self-testing, interestingly enough, a lot of people score low on this at the beginning, but it's very easy to get better at self-testing. It's very easy to get better at selecting main idea, and some of the note-taking things that we'll be doing this semester will help you. STA, use of support techniques and materials, also includes asking for help. Time management, that's kind of self-explanatory, so is test-taking. I do want to say that it turns out that motivation and asking for help turn out to be some of the most useful things for you to keep in mind this semester. I hope you heed this message. Don't forget to breathe. Don't get caught up in rushing through things. Just stop and pause and take a breath. Now we're going on to our third self-assessment that you need to complete for homework 2, and that is the Learning Styles Inventory, which is in your textbook. So I have a brief overview here of the Learning Styles Inventory, and this is all in your textbook, and it's a learning theory by David Cole, who kind of said, he was talking about how people learn, and his theory is that people basically learn by perceiving or taking in information and processing information, making it happen. And he noticed that people tend to like to perceive information either through concrete experience, which he also calls feelings, or abstract conceptualization, which he also calls thinking. And on the other hand, people also have two different ways they tend to like to process information. They either like to process information through active experimentation, jumping in and doing something, or through reflective observation by sitting back and watching. So this next inventory, it will kind of have you look at these different modes to see what you think about your own preferences for learning. So start on page 42 and read the instructions carefully. Continue to follow instruction on page page LSI 3 and LSI 5. You're going to interpret your results on LSI 6, and then go ahead and read LSI 7 and 8 and the article that follows that to get a little bit more information about this. So I'm going to assume that you've already done the learning styles inventory. You pause the video. So if you haven't, pause the video right here and come back to this after you finish the learning styles inventory. I want you to look at what mode you are. Are you a mode 1, which is kind of a combination of feeling and watching in the green? Are you a mode 2, which people who like to ask the question, what do I need to know? A combination of thinking and watching. Or are you a mode 3? Are you that person who's always asking, how does this work? Let me take it apart. And don't talk to me. I like to learn by myself, by the way. A combination of thinking and doing. Or are you a mode 4, which is in the yellow, a combination of feeling and doing, a kind of take charge. It's even possible that you're a combination. You're a combination of 1 and 4, or 2 and 3, or 1 and 2. So wherever you're at, just kind of look at the shapes and then go back and read the articles in the book to suggest which area do you fall in. Because I'm interested to know what mode of learning you are. Here's another look at the LSI by Kolb, and you can see some different graphics, but it's the same process. So notice the whole idea is people who are in mode 1 are diverging, like to feel and watch, and they're kind of creative, brainstorming types, whereas assimilators, or mode 2, who like to think and watch, like to analyze, give me the facts, man. Converging, or mode 3, they like to problem solve and just fix things. Whereas the accommodating, or mode 4 learners, like to problem solve and lead and talk to people. So recognize that this learning styles inventory definitely might say, oh, I prefer this way, but you could actually expand your ways of learning with the learning styles inventory. It can help you identify your strengths and weaknesses, and also help you understand the best method of learning that actually involves all 4 modes. It involves experiencing, reflecting, conceptualizing, and testing. By having an experience, by thinking about it, by watching, thinking, and then jumping in and seeing if it works. There's some other learning styles mentioned in Becoming a Master Student Chapter 1 that I think you'll find interesting. I'm not going to spend very much time talking about them in this video, but please do check out the articles, because that's another method of investigating your learning style preferences. So I want you to begin to build in some different relaxation ideas for yourself this semester. So just for a moment, think about where you're sitting and notice your posture. Are you sitting up straight? Are your shoulders relaxed? Just practice noticing your breath, going in and out. See if you can just kind of let go of the day, wherever you're at, all of the problems that may have happened this week or last week. See if you can let them go and just stay with your breath and the peaceful scene on the screen. Notice your breath in through your nose and out. In through your nose and out. Just take a pause. You're worth it. Remember to breathe. Finally, don't be like this girl in this cartoon by Lichtenstein. Don't wait to drown. Ask for help. There's help available to you. On Canvas, with me, just remember, you are worth it. All of this time and energy, you're worth it. So don't stop.